as they're 0-16 all time against the Trojans. Where's Desmond Howard? There he is. Not conducting a board meeting. Now he's ready. Sweet office you have there. All right, Des, what happens if Dion and Colorado are blown out again?
Well, guys, I think that what gets lost in this story is that this is a classic David versus Goliath. And people, I think, they don't realize that. Don't forget, this is a Colorado team only won one game a year ago. So they're the role of David. And they're going up against Goliath. USC, perennial powerhouse in the Pac-12, reigning Heisman Trophy winner in Caleb Williams. And so if Goliath beats David, do we ever cheer? Do we ever celebrate? No, it's only a story if David beats Goliath. And the problem is you're going into this battlefield, David is, without one of their big weapons. They got the slingshot. They got Shedeur Sanders. But then you don't have the rocks inside the slingshot because Travis Hunter, their superstar two-way player, was injured on the cheap shot a couple of weeks ago when they played Colorado State on that hit right there. Still don't know why that young man wasn't thrown out the game. And it lacerated Travis Hunter's, I think his lung, lacerated his lung. And so now he's been out for a couple of weeks. So, you go in the battle against Goliath, and it's only a big story if David prevails. If Goliath does what he's supposed to do, we're like, okay, oh hum, no problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
By the way, guys,
it was his liver. It was his liver. As opposed to his lung. Let's just make sure.
His liver. His liver. That's it. I'm sorry, his liver. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. It's all right. That's number one. Number two, here's what I would say. You're absolutely right. There's no doubt about that, Des, because it is a classic David versus Goliath. And in defense of Dan Lanning, coach at Oregon, who brought attention to himself, I didn't blame him for being disgusted when people were coming at him over that. Yes, he was trying to bring attention to himself and reap some of it, but it wasn't really a shot at Dion. It was really a shot at the media for all the attention we've thrown in the direction of a program like Colorado, who was 1-11 last year, and then Dion has done a phenomenal job that he's done this year, because you're going to have coaches who's saying, wait a minute, we've been winning, or we think we can win, or we think we are better, et cetera, et cetera. But that's neither here nor there, because nobody can deny the greatness of prime time and what he brings to the table, particularly from a recruiting perspective. And the other point that I want to bring up real quick, Des, was this. Prime said to us when we were at Colorado, I'm 7 to 8 dogs away. So he knows he's not where he wants to be. But that's what he says. Did you agree with that statement?
Yeah, he also said, make sure you take your shots at me now because I'm coming. And I agree with that because I understand the impact that Coach Prime has had on college football as a whole, the impact it's going to have as far as recruiting is concerned. I do believe that he's a guy who can pretty much recruit the country. And a lot of people are going to want to send their kids to Colorado to play for Coach Prime. So I do believe he's only a few dogs short of where he wants to be. No doubt about it.
I got this one question. I'm sorry, Molly. I got to interject. And Des, I didn't plan on asking you this, but I got to. I had a good time in Colorado, but damn it, I ain't never been to Boulder, Colorado. I never had a desire to be to Boulder, Colorado, okay? I'm just going to be real with you about it. And when I think about him there, and I know he's not thinking about it because he's grateful to have the opportunity he has, and that's all he's thinking about. When you think about a college program that would be ideal for him, I came on the air a few weeks ago. I said if I want to see prime time anywhere, it would be Texas A&M or Florida. Am I wrong in saying something like that? Am I wrong in saying something like that? I'm saying, am I wrong in saying I wish that? I'm talking about it in terms of my wish. Am I wrong in that?
No, not at all. I think that you got to keep in mind that Coach Prime is a Florida boy. He always talks about that. He says it. So to get him down in Gainesville would be pretty interesting. I don't think that's something that now obviously he's a Florida State alum too. So then there may be a little conflict there. But Texas A&M, you're talking about unlimited resources at his disposal, so to speak. And oil money, bro. Oil money.
That's
so
right.
You give him that, the sky is the limit if you put him in that setting, that situation. So no, I don't think that you're off at all wishing that for Coach Prime and yourself.
There you go.
Des, let me ask you this. Could Shedeur get back in the Heisman mix if he goes out there and has a good game against SC, even if they lose?
Molly, that's an excellent question because I always judge teams and individuals who are going for awards not only by what they do, but who they do it against. And because, Shedeur started off with a 500-plus yard game against TCU. TCU was a team that we saw in the championship against Georgia. So that's why his name became a Heisman hopeful. And then after that, the Colorado State game, to go 98 yards with the game on the line, and not only score the game, the 6-point conversion, but they the 6-point touchdown, but then they convert the 2-point conversion to send in overtime. Like, those are plays, those are things that Heisman campaigns are made of. Now, USC, if he's able to go toe-to-toe with Caleb Williams, and, even if he loses, if his numbers are great, if his numbers are big, then I think he's back into the Heisman conversation. And they still got some good games down the road. Big games are what it's all about, performing in big games. And so, to me, he has those opportunities down the road, starting Saturday. And if he's able to perform well in big games and walk away with a W, then I think his name will be back in the Heisman race.
I want to state for the record, I completely and emphatically disagree with that statement that you just made. And it is no knock against your expertise, which is brilliant, covering college football. It is no knock against Shedeur Sanders. I love this kid. He is spectacular. It ain't his fault that you don't have a damn offensive line that can protect you, for crying out loud, getting sacked every other down, for crying out. That's what it feels like, the abuse that he's been subjected to. I mean, it's not his fault. The kid is spectacular. I love him. I love his game. I love the whole bit. But when you get blown out on national television by a top 10 team like Oregon, when Bo Nix is balling, and there are a lot of people that were saying he deserves that kind of shine, I don't know how Shedeur Sanders overcomes that to get into the Heisman, the Heisman equation. I don't know. It was so lopsided. It was so dominant, 35-0 at the half. It was so dominant, Des. I don't know how. I don't know how he can overcome that for a Heisman chase. I don't.
Stephen A. It's like boxing, right? If you're going up against a contender and you don't perform well, then people are going to say, okay, you're not ready. But if you go up against a champ, meaning Shedeur Sanders going toe-to-toe against Caleb Williams, the guy who won the Heisman a year ago, and he shows well, people are not going to really think about what happened the previous week with Bo Nix once you're going toe-to-toe with the champ, who is Caleb Williams, as far as the Heisman Trophy is concerned. So that's what I think that'll help him build back up in the minds of a lot of voters.
And then I'm looking at the schedule. Arizona State, Stanford, UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, Utah. I mean, and listen, I respect the hell out of Utah, too. They ruined Caleb Williams' hopes last year when in USC in terms of getting to the college football playoffs. But let me tell you this, I respect them. It's a decent schedule, but that ain't the Pac, that ain't the SEC or the Big Ten. I'm just saying, Des, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I hope you're right. I don't know. I don't know.
Steven, let me tell you. I agree with you as far as the competition is concerned, but with all things being equal, the Pac-12 is the most competitive conference in college football this year. It's not even close. Right. We talk about it all the time. They got a lot of
ranked teams.
The Pac-12.
They have a lot of
That's why it's going to be a damn shame that a year from now they won't exist. But the Pac-12 right now is the strongest conference in college football.
Yeah, competing against each other, equal level of you're talking about parity existing within the conference. But when we talk about the big dogs, you understand? We ain't thinking about the Pac-12 really. I mean, Oregon, we hoping, but we ain't really thinking about the Pac-12. Now let's pump the brakes on that. The parity is there, competing against each other, but the big dogs. I'm
putting you on the spot here, so you don't have to answer, but you mentioned boxing. Any predictions for this weekend?
Ooh.
Canelo, Charlo, what are you thinking?
Wow. Canelo? Is it a Canelo fight?
Canelo and Charlo. Canelo and Jamel Charlo.
The Canelo fight? Yeah.
Yes, Saturday night. Vegas.
Yeah, I like Charlo, the twins, But I think I'm gonna have to go with Canelo. I just think Canelo is a little bit more battle tested, and I'm a boxing. I love boxing.
Give me something